Ispirazzjoni u esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.
Nilqakom għal programm ieħor Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti u kif wedkom din il-ġimgħa wkoll se ninkomplu nitkellmu mal-Men Against Violence, James Buhagiar u Aleksandar Dimitrijević għaliex għandna ħafna fuq ix nitkellmu u l-ispazju fejn jitkellmu l-irġiel u l-bżonnijiet tagħhom huma pjuttost limitati. So thank you once again for being here.
Grazzi lilek.
U nibdew mal-ewwel bid-dunkwe kif semmejna fil-programm li għadda. Il-terminu maskulinità tossika, toxic masculinity, hija tintuża ħafna u kważi xi daqqiet qas inkunu nafu x'qegħdin ngħidu. Forsi nispjegawha daqsxejn lin-nies li jiltaqgħu magħha l-ewwel darba u għaliex hija utli meta nispjegaw f'diskussjoni għal prevenzjoni tal-vjolenza.
So, toxic masculinity is a modern word. It's not really used, like, for instance, by academics, but what it explains and what it describes is basically the set of very rigid norms that are expected of men that are leading to, men not developing emotionally, men choosing violence as a acceptable way of dealing with problems or solving problems, and it's actually very damaging for men's physical, mental, and
so themselves.
It's very
so it's harmful for themselves.
And obviously because they are internalizing all these negative norms, then they're externalizing it through violence, violent behavior, and resistance to any sort of change for the better. So toxic masculinity, first and foremost, in its expression, it's obviously resistance to change, but it's also very, very harmful and very damaging to man's well-being. So
yes.
Bottom line.
Jekk ikollna inħaffru fiha isek tara affarijiet nistgħu nsejħulhom hekk kważi primordjali. Ġifieri affarijiet li huma iktar ma tmur lura
fiż-żmien.
U iktar ma mxejna l-qudiem fi żmien, ħafna minnhom m'għadhomx jiġu aċċettati. U ma ndejqx ngħidulhom primordjali għax ħafna minnhom kif semmalek ir-riżultat tagħhom ikun fil-vjolenza. Xi ħaġa vjolenti, xi ħaġa.
Fejn m'hemmx ħsieb, azzjoni biss.
Ma marrux ħafna l-bot, ġifieri il-fatt li saftit ilu kienet ħafna iktar pereżempju aċċettata illi nkun mixi fit-triq nara tfajla u nsafrilha dak li jgħidu l-wolf whistling. U ngħidu l-affarijiet bħal hawn sabiħa u x'nafina, tkellimna kemm il-darba fuqhom ormai naħseb nistgħu nimxu iktar. Biex ma nsemmux anke affarijiet illi taqbad pereżempju proprjetà li mhix tiegħek, taqbad partijiet ta' ġisem xi ħadd ma tafux m'għandekx permess. Dawna sewwa saftit ilu forsi kienu kważi aċċettati.
Ekku.
Illum mhumiex. U m'hemmx ħafna żmien, issa dik tiġi purament toxic masculinity, jekk għadek qed tuża dak it-tip ta' primordjalità illum mhux iktar aċċettabbli, hemmhekk huwa.
U mhux tort il-mara li dan m'għadux aċċettabbli.
Le, u dawn affarijiet li kienu aċċettati qabel.
This is coming from the way the men are brought up. It's that socialization of man.
Bissiru hekk
Which leads, but this is the thing, it leads to risky behaviors, not only to others when it comes to themselves, in terms of if you're not capable of dealing with your emotions, you're gonna lash out, and that is sort of accepted. One of the biggest problems in our society, whilst we say women are emotional, we don't count anger, male anger, as an emotion. When men are angry, they lash out, and that's emotion.
Men are emotional too.
Yes, exactly. Men, then, like when it comes to things, like everything, work. Okay, who gets hurt at work? Men, because they are risky behaviors that are accepted. Accepted risks, which are unnecessary risks.
Yes,
and also just the final thought is obviously when it comes to dealing with mental health. It's shameful for men to admit that
they need help.
They need support, that they cannot handle whatever emotion they have on themselves.
Yes.
And then obviously they say 80% of something, more than 80% of suicides are men. Of course, because they don't know how to process the emotion, and even when they do, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do with it. Women, for all the us blaming women, or sort of saying women are emotional, they're not rational, whatever, they know what support they need, and when they need, they either from friends or mental health professionals, or something that
they take the space.
They take the space, whereas men don't. They go in until it's too late.
And that is harmful, and that is why we're here and talking about it.
Yes.
So the end of violence, it-tmiem tal-vjolenza kontra n-nisa u l-bniet ħafna drabi jitqies bħala kwistjoni tan-nisa, dik problema tagħhom. Huma qed jiġu msawta, huma tiġibuha bidejhom, min jafx libset, min jafx qalet, min jafx għamlitlu. Għaliex huwa importantissimu li l-irġiel u s-subien isiru parteċipanti attivi tal-prevenzjoni u li marwoli jistaw ikollhom biex jagħmlu dan.
Inħoss li fiha ġixlati din mistoqsija, waħda hija fuq allaċċata mak li konna ngħidu. Mela jekk inti raġel li palissa ma tafx għax għaddej minn żmien ta' bidla, ma nafx kif napproċċja mara, il-frustrazzjoni ħadd iżdied tiegħi.
Mhux hekk, normali.
Tagħmel hija titkellem mela. Tkellem. Kif ħan approċċja tfajla l jekk jiena mdorri naqbdilha l-ewwel bla permess, issa se nagħmel. Literalment tmur hands-on xi ħaġa bħal di. Ġifieri bl-istess mod.
It-tagħlim importanti u titfittxu.
Mela, titkellem, ġifieri anke fejn dar affarijiet li semma Alex tal-mental health pereżempju din hija xi ħaġa li titesprimi.
Mhux id-dwejjaq jaqbdu il kulħadd. U tfittex lajnuna meta qastaf sa tagħmel bih da dwejjaq li għandek u mela raġel m'għandekx dritt.
Ekku, u parti l-oħra li nispera niftħuna iktar fuqha hija l-fatt il-pożizzjonijiet li għandna. Mela il-fatt li jien raġel u inti mara, għandna pożizzjonijiet differenti fis-soċjetà tagħna.
Mhux hekk?
Issa waħda mill-pożizzjonijiet li għandu r-raġel hija dik ta' privileġġ. Privileġġ li mdejjem
gawda
ta' snin li jkun dan il-persuna iktar dominanti, eċetera. Mela irid jitlaq minn dik il-pożizzjoni wkoll.
Tittejt jien għandi l-privileġġ.
Eżatt. U b'mod responsabbli qed ngħidha ġifieri li r-raġel għandu privileġġi mod u l-mara għandha privileġġi mod ieħor li ġew parti minn din is-sistema. Ġifieri fatt naf li għax tnejn tal-istess età ma l-mara umilha u ngħinha fix-xirja r-raġel qatt ma tgħinu jew tqumlu fuq.
Mela.
Ġejjin minn x'imkien daw.
Ekku.
Issa nużawhom mill-pożizzjoni qegħdin fihom filwaqt li nippruvaw nifhmu x'qed jiġri għall-futur, preżent u futur.
Ekku, dik hija importanti.
Because traditionally, when you say, that's something gender or something women or something that
we brush responsibility
that's something that women, as if we don't live in a society. Starting from the very basic, which I don't like using this example, but it's something that people generally understand, is every man on this planet has women in their lives that they care for, and they are meaningful, they have relationship with them, starting mother, sister, aunts, friends, colleagues, relatives. I mean, wouldn't you want, on a very personal, selfish call it level, wouldn't you want that those women in your life that are meaningful to you, wouldn't you want them to live in a society where there is less gender violence, less violence on women, and where there is a less chance of them becoming a victim of violence? And there is this I believe that every man would want that. Okay, that's number one.
Yes.
Number two, all you have to do is to extend to have this realization that every woman in this society is someone's mother, someone's sister, someone's cousin, someone's friend, and extend that empathy for the situation when it comes to violence on women. Yes, no one deserves it, and they all have relationship. Women shouldn't be and the bottom line, and the third level, which is the absolute for me level, women are human beings. They are not defined, as I now just did, by the relationship to men. They are independent human beings, and they deserve the right, and they have a right to live peacefully and not under the threat of violence. And I think that does not need any special sort of country. You understand that that's something that we can all feel. We all have a sense of justice, and what has been happening to women when it comes to gender-based violence and these kind of things, it's not just. And I think that every man can realize that and say, okay, I have a role. If I have a little bit of power and I can say something where women's voices are not present, for instance, we talk about locker room talk. I think every man has a duty to stand up and speak, for equality and for rights of everyone.
Yes, and the men around him should not be forced, feel that they have to put him down just because he's speaking up.
Yes.
Feminism isn't about
about
women
equality.
conquering men.
Yes.
It's about equality, equity. And I think everyone gains from it. So, parti mix-xogħol tagħkom jinvolvi it-tqajjim ta' sensibilizzazzjoni dwar l-effetti devastanti tal-vjolenza. So, aħna qed nitkellmu dwar vjolenza li qed issir kontra n-nisa u l-effett tagħha. Issa jekk aħna nagħmlu lin-nies konxi ta' x'qed jiġri bħal meta nagħmlu llum qed nitkellmu. Forsi xi eżempji ta' meta n-nies għarfu femu u x'differenza għamlet f'ħajjithom forsi biex naraw xi ftit effetti pożittivi ta' xogħolkom li intom qed tarfu s-subien u żgħażagħ dwar dan.
I mean, I can speak locally. We participated in a number of projects. We worked with University of Malta, for instance, on sexual harassment in schools. Okay, so we spend around a month in 3 different schools in Malta, and we work with boys and girls. We didn't separate
so
together, yes. And we had what we call a whole school approach. Which also involved us training teachers.
Wow.
Okay.
How powerful.
We didn't have enough time because the whole school approach actually should include parents as well. But we didn't have, for instance, and we did these sessions first with boys, then with girls, then we put them together and we were talking about all these things, about, it was specifically about sexual harassment, what kind of behaviors are okay, what kind of behaviors are not. Mm-hmm. And then we had the same session with teachers, like, okay, what do you see, what do you need, how can we help, and these kind of things. And then basically we after a month and not having number of these sessions, we would leave the school. We did 3 schools. We did a church school, government school, and a private school. So we wanted to see how it's, and basically literally a couple of months later we got informed by all 3 schools that the boys and girls, they got together and they did something.
Oh,
they did some sort of project, awareness raising, they asked the head of school to get some money to get some posters done, and they took it themselves.
Wow.
They took it on themselves to do something about it without, being told you have to do this. And it obviously, for me, that's a sign that sort of we had some sort of effect. There was some awareness raising, and inspired them to do such a thing. So these are little things. For me, sometimes in the classroom, even when I see, a boy or a girl, when I talk about these things, and you get a little that sparkle in their eyes, you see that they got something, or they understood something, or they felt something, and that's already
that's a shift you saw.
A meaningful change. Not to mention, I can talk globally. For instance, work with perpetrators. We have evidence now that perpetrators who go through the programs, that after 2 years, they're them resorting to physical violence drop by around 50%.
That's very good.
Which is not ideal, but it's good start. There is a lot of things that have good effects, short term and long term, but needs time, money, work, this kind of thing.
And effort. But here we are and doing it.
Ekku, huwa xogħol ma tistax tieqaf fih. Da bl-Inglis ngħidu raising awareness u li tqajjem għarfien. Ma tistax tieqaf. Naħseb kienet aħna Alex inna li waqqafna din l-assoċjazzjoni iktar minn 10 snin, it was 2013 u hekk. Yeah. From day one, ġviri, sissa, dak li namlu, li niqpaw inqajmu għarfien. Issa, kellna anka ġviri talks mal-pulizija, ma' unions, ġviri, ara kemm hawn fazzjonijiet tas-soċjetà tagħna li kollha qegħdin jarfu li hemm bżonn isir xi ħaġa. Issa wħud minnhom javviċinawna, wħud minnhom ġieli tkellimna magħhom tajna dawn it-talks fejn propju dak li tajjem ġast qajjem għarfien illi isma' jista' jkun hemm mod ieħor kif tindirizza mqar persuna, inħares lej persuna, naċċetta nies oħrajn.
Naħseb qed tagħmlu ġid għas-soċjetà li remarkable bl-Ingliż qed tiġini għaliex li kieku ma jkunux irġil bħalkom, ma jsirx, literalment. Li bqgħu għaddejjin brasna mitfuna ġo ramel u l-ħsara ssir. U min ibati? Aħna stess, dik il-problema u liedna. Nibqgħu fuq l-istess suġġett il-promozzjoni tal-ugwaljanza bejn is-sessi u relazzjonijiet f'saħħithom, ovvjament tmur lil mit-tmiem tal-vjolenza, mhux għax m'għadniex insawtu lil-mara jew nkunu violenti magħha bil-modi kollha differenti nieqfu sem. Anzi, dak huwa l-bażiku li ma nkunux violenti. Kif tgħinu fil-moviment tagħkom Men Against Violence biex l-irġiel jiżviluppaw dik li hija intelligenza emozjonali, rispett, sħubijiet rispett b'mod f'saħħtu fil-ħajja ta' kuljum? Qed nitkellmu issa ngħidu kieku solvejna l-vjolenza kollha.
But this is a part of it, okay? This we talk about emotional intelligence and but working with men and boys is when it comes to equality, it's beneficial to men and boys too. So I will start from a global. Every country that is, the higher the country is on sort of equality index, okay, there's less violence in that country. Statistically, less violence.
Wow.
There is less
so
violence.
So the more equality,
the more equality, less statistically. If you look at some sort of company level or big businesses, these mega companies, the more women they have on board or more women employed, we have evidence that these companies take less risks and are generally long-term more profitable, safer to invest, and so on and so forth. These are all, look it up, Google it.
But we're talking like equality, not overtaking by women. Equality.
No. Mm-hmm. Then you have, and then third, if you take a look at equality as a partnership between two people only, okay? Mm-hmm. So statistically, again, where there is equality in a relationship, what you have is that divorce rates plummet.
Wow.
To start off with.
Yes.
Violence obviously is not there. Children are, when you any tangent that we can measure or their psychosocial development are above their peers.
Wow.
Okay, so better development psychosocially, academically, and so on and so forth.
Because there's more stability.
Equality, and so on. And this is what teenage boys love when I tell them this, is that the sexual relationship and satisfaction with their sexual life skyrockets.
There you go. That's a very huge plus.
But these are the things. These are all, and obviously that there are less of psychological problems, less need for psychological assistant or some mental health issues and things like that, and all of that comes from equality. Being equal between two partners, and that I cannot emphasize enough how much beneficial that is for men.
Of course.
For their family and for their partners, yes. Of course, but for men too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that the it's crucial. Equality is one of the most important thing that we as a society can push for too.
Amazing.
U din anka rridu narawha għal darbohra mhux ġo vakum imma f'liema soċjetà ngħixu llum. Fejn pereżempju llum il-ġurnata bla ma trid tinduna kemm għandna soċjetà hija aktar gender fluid. Li għandna ħafna nies anke non-binary. Di tgħin ħafna. Isemmi Alex, kemm għall-aċċettazzjoni sewwa, kemm ukoll biex inti tgħix ħajja aħjar.
Eżatt.
Niddejqu tnejn li aħna ngħidu li semma Alex l-ewwel li isma' għax di taf tkun ommok li ħadbati minnha jew u li jidher. Ma l-istess mod illum tant għandna gender fluidity. Tista' tgħid min ħajkun kollega tiegħek, min ħajkun it-tifel tiegħek għal pedana.
Li ħadd pjaċir semmejt Alex li il-mara hija umana. Aħna nitkellmu fuq drittijiet umani. Daqshekk jekk tara l-kulħadd uman, m'għandux jaqsam li ma sess jidentifika miegħu u x'inhu.
Exactly.
Dik tiġi irrelevanti. Semma l-fejn saqsi li ma gender tidentifika miegħu, inti uman. Full stop. Jiena dejjem nieħu pjaċir ħafna nitkellem magħkom, imma nixtieq li bħala l-aħħar mistoqsija, forsi jekk hemm irġiel żgħażagħ ikbar fl-età huma minn huma li qed jisimgħu jixtiequ jagħmlu di differenza pożittiva, imma ma jafux minn fejn ħajibdew, kif jitilqu mill-post forsi għamilnihom konxi missa xiex. X'messaġġ jew stedina tixtiequ tgħaddulhom biex isiru allejati li jaħdmu magħkom, parteċipi attivi forsi f'xogħolkom? X'istgħu ngħidulhom?
Il-messaġġ tiegħi jkun jekk iridu jsiru jafu iktar x-xogħol tagħna jew forsi nitkellmu magħhom u għal immorru mill-ewwel fuq il-Facebook page tagħna Men Against Violence, irġiel kontra l-vjolenza u jkellmuna minn hemmhekk anke mid-dettalji tal-emails tagħna, eċċetera. Però fuq il-qafas ta' kollox hija xi ħaġa li ġa semmejt il-komunikazzjoni, kemm importanti l-komunikazzjoni li titkellem. Jekk inti raġel li mqara b'dilek ħsieb li mhux bħal ta' missierek u pull ta' nannuk. Dan tkellmu mqar ma sieħbek ma xi ħadd ieħor, għaliex minn ġo rasek biss baqa' ħsieb tiegħek biss.
U jberren waħdek.
Jberren waħdek, itertqek. Issa il-mument li inti tkellimt, ġa għamil ġiex affarijiet, proġettajtu, mela ġa tajtu forma, plasek issa tixxerjaħ ma xi ħadd ieħor. U dak għandu ċans jikber. Ġifieri aħna nagħmlu enfasi kbira biex titkellem. Parti mill-arfin huwa tkellem, tfittex, analizza.
Importanti li titkellem għax jibqa' bil-fellus f'moħħok ħajkisrek, ħajjajjek u jagħmillek il-ħsara.
Ma ninsewx minn dibati. Qed dibatu l-irġiel ukoll.
Mhux hekk.
Mill-irġiel kif ġa semmalek qed dibatu ħafna.
Mhux hekk, mhux hekk.
Każijiet ta' suwiċidju.
Mhux hekk. X'waħda din. U dak jista' jkun ibnek u ħuk u missierek mhux xorta is-soċjetà allura qed ngħidu.
Yeah, all I would say, yes, get in touch with us. We already have a small team of young men who are sort of supporting us when we need to show up for something like that, and they are very nice to talk to. We did it.
All sort of help is good.
But I also want to say something that is, completely, when we say gender, as I said, brush it off because that's something for women or LGBTIQ, and forgetting that gender male. Men have a gender too.
Yes.
And it's gender male, and there are issues that are happening to men due to their gender, and they need to be discussed. They need to be trashed out. And if we are not, willing to open, and we who are doing this sort of job, trying to find places and spaces for men to discuss these things between themselves, we are failing. So we are trying, we are doing what we can, but I invite everyone, every man, young man, old man, to sort of look into, perform some sort of introspection and think about it on how this pervasive, structures are affecting them and affecting all of us, and what we can do to change it.
Yes, hallelujah to that. Li jintom diġa qed toffru dal-ispazju u li tħallu l-irġiel jitkellmu fuq il-problemi tagħhom, naħseb huwa avvanz enormi. U għax ħallejna wisq żmien jgħaddi fejn ma nitkellmux fuq il-problemi li għandhom l-irġiel u mentri n-nisa sadattant għarfu li għandhom il-problemi u ħadmu fuqhom. Nirringrazzjakom ħafna li ġejtu, għattajtu żewġ programmi magħna, jien nistedinkom eżis semmija li titkellmu ma l-irġiel f'ħajjitkom u tajdulhom b'daw il-xogħol li qed isir minn Men Against Violence fuq Facebook issibuha, jekk tfittxu daqsxejn fuq l-internet issibu Men Against Violence Malta u għamlu ħilitkom ħalli is-soċjetà kollha tibbenefika. Grazzi Aleksandar Dimitrijević, grazzi wkoll James Buhagiar, għal-moment intlift. James, kif nara lilek ninsa kollox, m'hemmx tagħmel, iva. Imma grazzi immens ta' ħidmietkom. U grazzi lilkom eżis semija tal-li segwejtu Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti. Islim.
Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.